thrill me.
This show is part of the Thrill Me Podcast Network. Experience more on Facebook and YouTube.
It's Review It Man, reviewing what he can. Movies are his jam, so let's get twisted, man. It's Review It Rob.
Hey, yo, welcome to the Review It Rob show. I am your host, Review It Rob, coming to you with all kinds of fun stuff to talk about this week, man. We have The Marvels that released last week, so I'm going to give you my spoiler-free thoughts on that film, as well. Got some other things going on news-wise. The strike has finally ended. We get to talk about that. I'll talk about that at the end of the episode. There's a lot of information there, but so thankful the strike has ended. What else is going on around Marvel? We're going to talk that. You'll get your mandatory horror and DC news on this week's episode, as well as anything else I can find to talk about, man. So I appreciate you joining in to the show. Let's go ahead and get jumped in here, man. Again, the movie we're going to be talking about this week is The Marvels. It is rated PG-13 for brief language, action, and violence. The movie is an action adventure running in at 1 hour and 45 minutes and is currently in theaters. Synopsis goes as Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, has reclaimed her identity from the tyrannical Kree and taken revenge on the Supreme Intelligence. But unintended consequences see Carol shouldering the burden of a destabilized universe when her duties sent her to an anonymous wormhole linked to a Kree revolutionary. Her powers become entangled with that of Jersey City superfan Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel, and Carol's niece, now SABER astronaut Captain Monica Rambeau. Together, this unlikely trio must team up and learn to work in concert, or to save the universe as the Marvels. Rotten Tomatoes has a critic score of 62%, while the audience score is sitting at 84%. IMDb has it at 6.2 out of 10. And I tell you those things because, again, everybody has multiple different thoughts on films. So while I mentioned that, let's go ahead and jump into what were my thoughts on the Marvels film. Now, going into the movie, I decided to go back and watch the first Captain Marvel movie because I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters when it released a number of years ago. So I got reacquainted with that movie just to get reassociated with Captain Marvel. I think the last time we saw her was Endgame, if I'm correct. I might not be, because get your bingo cards ready. Not a Marvel guy. But I believe that was the last time we saw. So I watched that. I planned on watching Miss Marvel, ran out of time, so I didn't get to watch that show. So that was one of the main things going into this movie. I didn't really know anything about Miss Marvel. We'll get back to that later on as we're talking. So the Marvels overall, as I said in the synopsis there, the trio can share powers, but it's a hindrance to them because when one uses their powers or they use their powers at the same time, they end up swapping places, right? So it ends up being a kind of funny embark and funny try to figure out how they're going to get back and forth and figure out how to stop that from working. So that's kind of what we're dealing with here as well. You know, we have another tyrannical villain, right? So the trio has to figure out how to get their powers to work correctly, and they have to work as a team finally, because Miss Marvel has not really worked, or not Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel has not really worked team-wise. Well, she, of course, was at Endgame and helped out and all that stuff, but she hasn't really been a part of a team. It's mostly just been her by herself. Yeah, you can say Nick Fury's been there to help her out a little bit as well. Those two have kind of been a team, but for the most part, she's worked by herself. So that's something new she had to learn how to do with working with Monica Rambeau and Miss Marvel in this film. So overall, after watching the first Captain Marvel movie going into this one, I'm going to say I enjoyed this one more. I do like this one a lot more, even though the first movie did have a Kevin Smith shout out in it and all that stuff. You know me, I'm a Kevin Smith guy, but I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was, a solid action adventure film. I think is a good reintroduction to Captain Marvel. From what we've seen, she's not as I don't think moody is the word, but you know how she kind of was in that first movie. She's kind of stoic and all that stuff. She cracks some jokes every now and then, and there's some funny stuff in the first movie, but comedy's definitely more in this film. The action's good. The story works out pretty well. I'm not gonna say it's a fantastic or great story by any means, but it works good enough to get you to the point that you need to get to. It is I say a pretty well put together film and a pretty quick movie. The film is an hour and 45 minutes, which surprised me going to the theaters because I'm kind of used to, superhero movies in general, but let alone the Marvel films at least being 2 hours or more, right? Um, so, I mean, what were the other films that came out this year? I believe they were over 2 hours as well. Yeah, doing a quick search, Man of the Wasp was over 2 hours. So, which I enjoyed this movie more than that one as well. But I liked it. I liked what they did. I like Brie in this film. Again, more acquainted to her as the character and learning more about the character itself. Because again, not a Marvel guy, but learning more about that character and seeing and everything. I liked her performance in the film. Monica Rambeau is awesome. She's always been pretty cool. And this is again, like I mentioned earlier, this is my first introduction to Miss Marvel, who I miss freaking said was in Doctor Strange 2. She was not. That was America Chavez. That was not Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. I messed that up because again, not a Marvel guy. But this is my first introduction to her, which is kind of one of the things I ran into with this movie. Is I guess she's a teen, is what I'm assuming from her character. Is supposed to be a teen character or young adult, who is in love with Captain Marvel, which is fine. You're allowed to be a fan of what you want to be a fan of, and she's like over the top anytime she's around Captain Marvel because obviously you're meeting your hero, right? And she's over the top with that, and I've noticed. Seen some people complaining about that in the film. Again, I didn't see Miss Marvel. I don't know how she was in that show. From the trailers that I did see of Miss Marvel, kind of seems like the same character in this movie. Um, so I didn't know much about her powers or much about her character or her association with everything, but didn't hate her. I had to get used to her, to be honest with you, because I did feel it was kind of over the top. She screams a lot in the movie because she's freaking out. So there's some things I had to get used to with her, but not enough to be like, oh, it ruined the movie or anything like that. It's just trying to learn who the character is. But I thought she was good, and freaking our villain in this movie, awesome. I didn't catch the name of the villain in the movie. Saw this with my buddy. Neither one of us caught the name of the villain in the movie. So if they said in the movie, completely missed it. But looking here in the casting, the villain's name is Darbin, if you will, played by Zawe Ashton, who is married, I believe, to I know she's in a relationship with Tom Hiddleston, who of course plays Loki, so a Marvel couple there. But she was awesome. I liked her. I thought she was great. She was menacing. She had this thing that a villain should have. Like, she wants what she wants. She's going after it. Hell be it. Whatever stands in her way, she's going to knock it down to get what she feels is right, right? That's what villains do, man. To us, to a lot of heroes, the villain's doing something bad, but to the villain, it makes perfect sense to them, right? And she's trying to do the right thing in her eyes. Again, can't spoil stuff on the show, so going around to talk about what she does there. Maybe we will have a spoiler talk on the Thoroughly Podcast Network within a week or so, maybe, hopefully. But I liked her. I thought she was awesome. I thought she was really good. So overall, movie I thought was solid. I enjoyed it. I think it's middle tier of the Marvel films. I don't think it's spectacular by any means, but I've enjoyed it a lot more than other Marvel movies. I mean, looking at the films that they've released this year, nothing's going to top Guardians of the Galaxy from the other Marvel films that have come out. Let's just be honest here. But I far enjoyed this movie far more than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantum Mania. Excuse me, got the hiccups while talking there. But I did enjoy it. I liked what they did. I would gladly watch this movie again, to be honest with you. I liked the way the characters worked off each other. I like what they're building here. Speaking of, pay attention to the credits. There is one credit scene. It's a mid-credit scene, but it is freaking huge, dude. Hopefully that has not been spoiled for you on the internet because it is everywhere. But it is. Let me tell you, when I saw that thing, I'm like, holy crap, and I've got so many questions. So again, hopefully we do the spoiler talk later on the Thoroughly Podcast Network because I want to talk about this stuff. I got questions, man. But overall, I thought the Marvels was enjoyable. I don't know how, I don't have Marvel movies ranked, so I can't tell you where exactly I would put that movie, but middle tier seems about right. I think what they did was good. I liked what they did with the film. We'll see. They're setting up some interesting things for the future. So overall, the Marvel is not worth the hate that is getting online by any means. It's again just people mad that girls are starring in the film, I guess. But I mean, we've seen it across the board with superhero films. They've kind of been down this year, and this movie has opened at the lowest supposedly box office for a Marvel film, from what I've seen headline wise. So, it is what it is. What can you do? I enjoyed this movie so much more than a lot of Marvel films that had higher Rotten Tomato scores and higher box offices. So that's my overall thoughts on the film, man. Let me know what you thought in the comments. But I enjoyed it, and stay tuned. I'm pretty sure we're going to do another talk on this movie on the Throw Me Podcast Network because, again, there's stuff to talk about with this movie. Let's stay in the Marvel realm real quick before jumping into our mandatory news talks. First off, the Walt Disney Company, who, of course, owns the Marvels, which actually reminds me of something else to talk about with the Marvels. Like I said, I thought this movie was pretty solid. There was a moment in the film where I'm like, oh yes, this is owned by Disney. And if you've seen the movie, you will know exactly what I'm talking about here. And again, it's probably me. Hopefully, this will be something we talk about on that spoiler talk that we do later. But there's a moment where I was like, and it gets ridiculous. And I think Marvel movies have done that before, where it gets a little over the top and ridiculous at certain points. And this was one of those points where I'm like, oh, this is 100% a Disney thing, which not bad. I don't dislike Disney. I like Disney a good deal, but I don't. I was like, oh yeah, this is owned by Disney. Like this is what you would expect in a live action Disney film. So very Disney moment there. But nonetheless, going back to where I was at, the Walt Disney Company has announced new dates for the upcoming Marvel films expected to release in 2024 and 2025. Those are 4 movies on the way. That is the untitled Deadpool film. It was previously dated for May 3rd, 2024. It is now July 26, 2024. Which was Captain America Brave New World's release date. That is now moving to 2/14, so February 14th, 2025. That movie's going to be a freaking Valentine's Day movie? All right. I already love Captain America. Got myself a Valentine's date ready for 2025 to be hanging out with Captain America. But the interesting thing, other than me taking myself out to a Valentine's date, is that Deadpool will be the only Marvel movie releasing in 2024. When was the last time that happened? That they only released one movie in a year? Do we have to go back to like the beginning of the Marvel times with like Iron Man and all that? Did they even do it back then? I don't know. Again, not a Marvel guy. Hopefully you got your bingo cards ready because I've said it multiple times already on this episode. But that's surprising. It's the only movie releasing this year. And if I'm correct, I think DC only has one movie releasing in 2024 as well, and it's the Creature Commando film. Double check that for you while we're on here. So yeah, Creature Commando is a series that they have planned that is expected to release in 2024. I don't see an official release date for that yet, but we do have DCU Adjacent, or also known as DC Elseworlds, film releasing next year with Joker 2 for I don't know if I said that right, but it's fun to say it like that. So we do have the Joker film coming out next year, and I'm trying to figure out when Creature Commandos. I assume it is next year, but I don't know off the top of my head. So yeah, everything I'm saying for Creature Commandos TV series, it will be released on Max in 2024. So, and they've already did most of that work, if I remember correctly, from James Gunn mentioning that. So that should still be on track to release in 2024, as well as Joker. So one Marvel film next year at the moment, and I don't know if there's a Marvel show next year, but yeah, what an interesting time to live in. But I enjoy it, man. Content is great, but don't oversaturate the market. I think that's kind of what we've seen both sides run into, as well as Star Wars. Kind of a little bit of too much of the content. So we'll see what happens there. Other just weird rumor in Marvel before we jump over to other news. Rumor has come out that Jake Gyllenhaal is reportedly being considered by Marvel Studios for the role of Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four film. And Gyllenhaal is the latest name to join Adam Driver. He's been rumored. Ben Badgley's been rumored. Matt Smith has been rumored. Dave Patel has been rumored. And now Gyllenhaal. And the interesting part about this is the fact that Gyllenhaal has already been in the MCU as Mysterio in the 2019 Spider-Man film, Far From Home. So it's not unlikely they've had other actors in the franchise play different characters, or in the MCU play different characters. So it's not unlikely for something like that to happen, but this is a big role here, right? And I don't know why they don't just keep Dude Man from The Office, blanking on his name, Krasinski. But I do understand Marvel's doing this thing with different Earths and different, multiverses and all that stuff. So yeah. So if they do that, I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal is a talented actor, sure, but how funny would it be if he and Spider-Man run into each other? Fantastic Four and Spider-Man have a history, from what I understand from the comics, and playing like the Spider-Man game and seeing like Spider-Man in like a Fantastic Four suit option for you. Not the new Spider-Man games, the old Spider-Man games. I haven't played the new Spider-Man games. I played the other one, but I don't know if that suit was in there or not. But because all I care about was Amazing Spider-Man. Anyways, what a weird idea that would be, and how crazy would that be if they do run into each other later? Well, Spider-Man still think it's Mysterio, just taking on another role and using his magic powers and all that stuff or his persuasion powers, or whatever you want to call it, to make it seem like he's somebody else and it's Mysterio, and those two go head to head. Who knows, dude? Who freaking knows? But anything is seemingly possible, and we'll just have to wait and see how it all works out. Of course, now that the strike is over, we've gotten a lot more stuff happening with movie news, like movie release dates, casting news, and all that stuff happening. So there maybe should be some new news around both companies as soon as possible. Let's see. So that was all I had for the Marvel stuff. I thought fitting to throw it in there after we got done talking about the Marvels. Going from Marvel, let's go ahead and talk about DC real quick. Blue Beetle will be making its way to Max on November 17th. That is this week. All right, a couple days actually. So that's cool. Excited to see that movie again. I enjoyed that. If you want to check out my full review, I did that when that movie came out. So you can check that out as well as other previous episodes of the show. But yeah, I'm excited to watch that movie again. I did enjoy that one. A couple Superman news articles real quick. Superman Legacy is still on track to release. James Gunn has confirmed that. And if you follow my show, the Review It Rob show on Instagram, I did put up the post as well, letting you know the release date is still the same for Superman Legacy. So that's good to know. That is 2025 when that movie comes out. And then other thing that happened with Superman this week is that we've got a photo that was released years later of Josh Hartnett wearing the costume for Man of Steel. And this is because Josh Hartnett was going to play Superman in a film called Superman Flyby. A number of years ago, he was in there. He was wearing the suit for Man of Steel. The script was being written by J.J. Abrams. Brett Ratner was going to direct it. Even Christopher Reeve was there to serve as a project consultant. But Ratner left the film. Him leaving brought in Bryan Singer to take over, and that film was turned into Superman Returns, which came out in 2006. So didn't get the chance to see Josh Hartnett play the role live, kind of Nicolas Cage style back in the day. But photos out there, man. I will have that photo up on my Instagram page as well for you to check out, because I'm doing more stuff over there on the Instagram. I mostly just share when my show comes out, or when I'm seeing a movie, traditional movie photo. But I kind of want to share more stuff, and I talk DC news and horror stuff on the show, and I feel like it'd be cool to do that stuff. Anniversary talks, Child's Play and Child's Play 2 both released on the same day and had an anniversary last week, so that's cool. Seed of Chucky just had an anniversary as well. So doing the fun stuff like that on the Instagram, man. So please go check that out, as well as the Thrill Me Podcast Network's Instagram. We've got fun stuff going on there and on our YouTube, man. So for all that stuff, we got a brand new show coming with Thrill Me Weekly. Fantastic show. I got to see the preview episode of that, and it's going to be a fun time, man. So be on the lookout for that, as well as all of the fun stuff, man. If you can hit that subscribe to the Thrill Me Podcast Network, we would all gladly appreciate it. So that's what's going on in DC. Is Blue Beetle's hitting Max this week, and Superman stuff, man. Going from there to horror, I mentioned Chucky a moment ago. Chucky has joined the Dead by Daylight video game. This is a multiplayer video game where you can either play the killer or survivors, I guess is what you call them, trying to survive in a certain world where horror villains are coming to get you. Freddy Krueger's been on it. I think Leatherface has been on it. It was Freddy Krueger from the remake, so a lot of people are kind of on that. I believe Ghostface is on it. Michael Myers, I believe, is on it as well. I have not personally played Dead by Daylight, but Chucky is my boy. That is my horror icon. I love Chucky to death. And very tempted. Like I've been hoping for some kind of Chucky video game for the longest time. I'm more of a story-based game kind of person, so I would prefer that kind of horror game. I didn't have the best time with Friday the 13th, to be honest with you. I have not played Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Evil Dead. Very interested in the Killer Clowns game. I will definitely be getting that to check that out and see how that works out. But this looks cool. They released a trailer for it. It looks freaking fantabulously awesome. So I would be interested in playing that for sure. It releases fully on November 28th. I believe there's some promo deals going on where they're playing. Promo deals is not the right word, but I've seen some gameplay that people have released. Early access is what I'm looking for. There's been some early access for the game, so it looks awesome. It looks fun, and just the idea of being able to play as Chucky would be great. I would never play against Chucky. Like that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen. I would be Chucky the whole time, just running around, slicing, dicing, killing folks. Man, that'd be awesome as Chucky. Yeah. So might have to get me some Dead by Daylight. I have to look into that. Now let's see. A new documentary titled Hollywood Trailblazer: The Deborah Hill Story is heading into production with Jamie Lee Curtis set to executive produce. Deborah Hill, if you do not know, is part of horror history, and she is dubbed the godmother of filmmaking. Not only contributed to beloved horror classics such as producer and co-writer of Halloween and The Fog, but was also a constant champion for emerging talent. If you've probably seen it, if you've watched Halloween, especially recently during 31 Days of Halloween, the original Halloween film that released, it says introducing Jamie Lee Curtis, and Deborah Hill was part of that, man. So the documentary is going to shine a light on her prolific career, which she definitely deserves. People who've fallen in love with Deborah Hill recently. Seen shirts that say Deborah Hill production, all that stuff that people like to wear, so that's cool. Interviews will of course have Jamie Lee Curtis in there. You'll have John Carpenter, David Gordon Green will be there. They're working with Deborah's brother Bob Hill on the production as well as multiple other interviews that'll be a part of this thing, man. So that's really cool. I can't wait to check that out. Hopefully it hits like a Shudder or Screambox. Screambox has been getting documentaries a lot as well. So either one would be fine with me because I got both. But that's cool, man. Definitely deserved for her. Other streaming service here, Netflix, they are getting back to Fear Street. This has been rumored for quite some time, and the latest news to come out is that Netflix is still in the works on a fourth Fear Street film. And this is positive news coming out of the last week. Netflix's Scott Stuber, who's head of Netflix Films, said, quote, obviously there's a lot of books. There's one standalone that we're working on right now that we're once again trying to get the script right, but I like it very much, and so does the team. So I feel like if we can get that script right, there would be a great kind of extension of that franchise, end quote. Why not, man? Those other three movies worked out very well. This is making me want to watch those movies again. I enjoyed all three of them. I know certain people have like their favorites of each. I don't remember which one was mine, but I did enjoy all three of them, and I do need to go back and watch them. So yeah, stay in the Fear Street business. Love that R.L. Stine is still kicking out the jams. Like Goosebumps is one of my early introductions to spooky horror stuff when I was a kid growing up. So be it the books or the TV show and all that. So it's nice to see R.L. Stine still out there. Yeah, the new Goosebumps series that came out recently with Justin Long in it. And now the Fear Street stuff seems to be kicking around still. So man, that's cool. That's fun news. I'm glad. I'm excited. They're still working on those things. So be on the lookout for a new Fear Street film. I'll keep you posted when we get more news on that. Another movie that is on the way that we fully know is happening is in the Ghostbusters universe. We have an official title for the Ghostbusters movie as well as a teaser trailer officially released. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is the name of the film, and that teaser trailer has been released. You can check out, as I mentioned, the Thrill Me Podcast Network earlier. Zach from Haunter's Pod and multiple other shows on the network did a trailer reaction for the teaser trailer, so go check that out. The film is set to release March 29th of next year. My quick thoughts on the trailer. Thought it was awesome. I liked it. It fits the Ghostbuster vibes, but also like something we've never seen before, in my opinion. It looks really awesome. It looks spooky. I'm glad we got a lot of the same cast back. We've got our three original Ghostbusters there with Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and Ernie Hudson. Annie Potts is back. Keep losing my voice. Paul Rudd is back. McKenna Grace is back. Finn Wolfhard is back. Most of the cast from the last movie is back. That should be back. So, a quick thing: McKenna Grace, future talent as well. Holy crap. Holy crap. She's been in a lot of stuff. She was in that Captain Marvel movie. Um, she was in Annabelle Comes Home, as well as many other things that she's been a part of. Like again, she and Jenna Ortega are the future. um, so yes, Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire teaser trailer out now. Go check that out, man. Let's see. Stranger Things Day also happened since the last time we talked, and they gave us a little bit of a teaser for the next season. Again, things are starting to move over there now that the writer's strike and actors strike is over. They've already called David Harbour. As soon as David Harbour talked about that, who plays Hopper on the show, he talked about as soon as like 30 minutes after the strike ended, he got a call like, all right, we got a plane booked for you on Monday. You're ready to come on out and start shooting. So they're getting that going. Millie Bobby Brown's talked about being ready to end the franchise, which I'm not a personal fan of that kind of thing. Like, I think if you're blessed enough to have a character, you should be hope to play it for as long as possible. But maybe I'm weird. I don't know. But nonetheless, Stranger Things Day, like I said, we got a tease for the opening of the season. So the Stranger Things team over there on their social media shared a photo of the script for the opening of season 5. It says season 5, chapter 1, scene 1. Says darkness, the sound of cold wind, groaning trees, and dot 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 a child's voice singing a familiar song. And it ends there. That's the end of what we see on that photo. Speculation, however you want. To me, when I see child's voice singing a familiar song, I'm thinking season 1 with "Should I Stay or Should I Go Now?" If you remember, Will sang that song. Um, Jonathan taught Will that song, and then Will sang that song, and we heard him singing it. So that would be my guess on what the familiar song is. I don't know why it would be Never Ending Story. Not against it, but I don't think it'd be Never Ending Story. Should not be Master of Puppets, unless there's like a tease of Eddie returning there at the beginning. I don't know, but Eddie played guitar. I don't think he sang. But I'm leaning more towards the "Should I Stay or Should I Go Now?" That would be cool to me as a fan of the show, and going back to the original, the first season. That'd be really cool if they brought that back, in my opinion. So hopefully that's the familiar song. Let's see. Last thing to talk about here in spooky horror realm is that Terminator, a sci-fi horror film, if you will, is getting an anime series. It's called Terminator: The Anime Series, and they debuted the first look teaser for that anime during Geeked Week. That also got some other stuff during Geeked Week, as well as the Rebel Moon trailer. Zack Snyder's next film that'll be hitting Netflix. Looks awesome. Looks awesome. Star Wars vibes there. Is Zack Snyder's Star Wars, what a lot of people have said. But yeah, that's happening. Terminator, the anime series, is happening. It's coming to Netflix as well. You can check out that teaser that was debuted. The show will be an 8-episode series, part of the Terminator universe, but will center around new characters. I'm not an anime guy. I haven't watched much. The only one I've really watched ever is Death Note. I watched some Dragon Ball Z, but I've never gotten into anime like other people have. But just seeing some of this looks kind of cool, right? Looks kind of interesting. So maybe I'll end up checking that out. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see how that all goes, but could be a thing, man. All right, let's see, and that's it for horror news. So you got your mandatory DC and horror news there. Now we're going to jump into a couple of things in other realm here. First one being that Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander on The Boys, has confirmed via Instagram comment that he is not voicing Homelander in Mortal Kombat 1, which is wild, man. Why is that happening? Why is he all of a sudden not voicing the character? Seems weird. But especially after we saw J.K. Simmons is voicing Omni-Man, makes me wonder if John Cena is voicing Peacemaker, which I assume John Cena is. But yeah, what a weird thing. I have not seen The Boys as well, but I know who Homelander is. I've seen clips of it, and I've heard The Boys is good. I just have not tapped into that show. But yeah, weird. And of course, the main thing to talk about here, movie-wise, is the actors' strike has officially ended. After 118 days, a deal has been reached with the studios to end the strike, where the total package is valued at more than $1 billion in new wages and benefit plan funding. This is huge. So thankful that has finally ended for those who um, needed work, man. We're getting close to the holiday season, right? We're in it basically, and some people not being trying to worry about if they'll even have a home. Because not every, some of the actors, Tom Cruise wasn't gonna be worried by this, strike or anything like that. But there are some actors who were just starting out and starting to build a career, and the strike happened, and they were not able to work for a while. So, good thing is the writer strike and actor strike is uh, ended, and they are now moving towards the future. So the agreement includes an unprecedented wage pattern with 2 wage increases in the first year of the contract, so 7% upon ratification, and another 4% increase effective July 2024, making the first year increase of 11.28%. There will be another 3.5% increase in 2025. Package breaks the so-called industry pattern. A lot of numbers. I don't want to go over a bunch of numbers with y'all here. I'm trying to pick and choose what I can talk about here real quick. Wages for background actors will increase 11%. I was a background actor in The Righteous Gemstones, so that's good to know if I ever do that again. Here we go. Streaming, because this was one of the big things of topic that they were fighting for. So the union has achieved the creation of a new compensation stream for performers working in streaming. It provides a substantial bonus on top of existing residual structures, making work in streaming more sustainable for middle-class actors. The majority of that compensation will be paid to actors on programs meeting certain viewership requirements. The remaining money will be distributed to other actors working on those streaming platforms through a new jointly trusted distribution fund. This ensures improved compensation and sustainability for a wider range of actors contributing to the success of these platforms. The agreement also adds fixed residuals for stunt coordinators working on television and new media production. So good. Actors kind of been being screwed over with streaming. From what I understand, like the streaming to get paid, it's like has to be in like the top 10, or has to be something that is garnering attention. It can't be just a show that's kind of just on the streaming service, right? It's got to be something that people are watching and bringing a lot of attention and eyes and stuff. Like I think Suits is bringing a lot of people to Netflix or something like that. Let's see. There's important gains for hair and makeup, the sharing of diversity statistics, eliminating inappropriate wiggings and paint downs, gender neutral language, access to gender affirming care, and translation services. It also provides sexual harassment prevention protections for performers, including the use of intimacy coordinators in scenes. So yeah, that's something else they've been fighting for as well. Protections for the casting process have been established, including provisions specifying that breakdown, sides, and/or scripts shall be provided no less than 48 hours prior to the submission deadline, including weekends and holidays. So yeah, there's good things that they have done here to make what they needed. I'm trying to find the AI part because that was a big issue as well. All right, here we go. So studios will have to provide informed consent for the creation of any kind of digital replica of a performer or background actor with specific description of the intended use, the union officials have said. Compensation for the replica will vary. Notably, the contract also protects background performers from any use of their digital replica without their consent. Negotiations over using AI to create synthetic performers continue down to the wire. Union leadership said studios will have to gain consent from any actors whose facial features are used for AI performer. Studios have to inform actors they're using AI, and the union can bargain over compensation for those affected by it. So good, man. Screw AI. AI is ridiculous. When used that way, of course. So the deal with the Writers Guild also includes assurances that AI cannot write or rewrite literary material and require AI-generated materials to be disclosed to writers. The president of the Actors Union said, quote, "We've got everything we wanted with the AI protections, which was key, plus we're going to be meeting with AMPTP, the Entertainment Industry's bargaining unit, twice a year to make sure that our finger remains on the pulse of the process and also to align ourselves on the same side with regard to federal regulations and protections against the privacy. So good. Piracy. So that's good. Everything's good there. So yeah, we've hit everything. So man, good thing they've got what they needed. So glad that AI freaking got shot down there. That's ridiculous. That was ever in belief or thing that they wanted to do. It's just unbelievable. So thankfully the strikes have ended. Hopefully I didn't bore you with the numbers there, but news is news, man, and that's big news in the movie realm. So glad to see that happening. Glad to see people are getting back to work. Glad to know I can have more news to talk about. Um, in the coming days. So that's fun stuff, man. Hope you enjoyed this episode. That'll be it this week. The Marvels again is in theaters. Go check it out. Don't listen to the haters. And then be on the lookout and follow. Please follow, like, subscribe, share the Throw Me Podcast Network and on our YouTube and Instagrams to be on the lookout for. I believe we're doing a spoiler episode of the Marvels because we got stuff to talk about with that movie, man. So stay on the lookout for that. Appreciate you taking in the time, taking in the show, and taking your time to listen to the show. Jeez. It's always great to know that people are interested in this show because I love doing the show. Just a movie fan talking about movie stuff, man. So glad you are here and enjoying the show as much as I enjoy putting this show together and doing this show. So appreciate you all. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, week, month, year. And as always, I'd like to end the episode with some positivity here, man. So thank you again for joining into the show. And remember that happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if only one remembers to turn on the light. Talk to you all next episode.